Right after I made a video about Dead Space Remake, I wasn't sure about what to cover next. I have Persona 4 Golden secure on my list that I first need to play completely, so I was looking for something else. Something that I can finish quickly, something that I've never played before. Luckily, believe or not, right at that point, Nintendo must have heard my prayers or something and Shadow dropped one of their classics for Nintendo Switch. After 21 years, Metroid Prime Remastered is back and I felt it was calling for me. Just to let you know, although I played Metroid Fusion, Zero Mission and Dread, I dropped the first and the third Metroid Prime titles back when I was 14 and playing them on Nintendo Wii. I kinda knew what Metroid Prime would offer me and I thought that maybe it was right time to meet Samus once again and dig deeper into the world of Metroid. I'm Arcade Out here and today I'll be talking about my first thorough experience of Metroid Prime Remastered and how they perfected a sweet nostalgia. First of all, Metroid Prime Remastered is surprisingly good. From the very first moment to the last, it consistently keeps itself at 60 FPS with renewed models and animations. It doesn't feel or look like a cash grab remaster work, it acts and shows itself as it was like a new title for Nintendo Switch. Through my 10 hours of experience, it motivated me to discover each and every map of Metroid Prime as I collected all of the upgrades for Samus' suit, got lost many times while trying to figure out where to go next, and of course got frustrated when I totally made wrong guesses about where to go next. Although Metroid Prime looks like an FPS title, it's quite difficult to define it like that. Its core gameplay and its soul is totally loyal to Metroid series, meaning that you will go back and forth, obtain a new upgrade to backtrack to a totally different map to open up a new path, discover each and every corner of the game. It is not a run and gun shooter, nor just a plain linear FPS. Metroid Prime has a complex, multi-layered map with first-person camera shooting gameplay that is insanely faithful to the main Metroid series. If Metroid Dread was your first Metroid experience, possibly you might also find Metroid Prime quite challenging experience, as it mostly lets you discover the map without telling you plainly where to go next. The world of Tallon IV has lots to offer, lots of secrets to be discovered. To put it simply, it is a Metroidvania with FPS combat that requires lots of patience, curiosity and nostalgia. Metroid Prime starts as our beautiful galactic bounty hunter Samus Aran intercepts a distress signal from the space pirate frigate Orpheon. Orpheon's crew have been slaughtered by the pirates' own genetically modified experimental subjects, and at the very core of the ship lies the Parasite Queen that endangers the galaxy once again. As we battle with the Parasite Queen, destroying it and then lose all of our abilities, we able to escape the exploding ship and discovering that a cybernetic version of Samus's nemesis, Ridley, is also being there, and then heading to the closest planet of Tallon IV after these events. As we escape the frigate and chase Meta Ridley to Tallon IV, we find ourselves on a planet that was formerly inhabited by the Chozo race. This Chozo race, also known as the mysterious sage-like species like space birdmen, are one of the main points of Metroid's world. They also raised Samus when her planet was raided by space pirates and her parents murdered by Ridley. Once we land on Tallon IV, there are several things that we can do, and one of it is to earn abilities that Samus lost. For that, we need to discover Tallon IV without any guidance, scan each and every enemy if you want to learn more about them, and any Chozo lore piece that are glowing yellowish for any background story about what happened here to these ancient species and to their planet. If you dig deeper into the story of Metroid Prime, you will learn more about why Chozo are extinct on this planet and what kind of a threat awaits deep within the planet's core. A threat that is contained for over 500 years and now trying to be extracted by space pirates and their leader Ridley. Metroid Prime has no quest logs, will never tell you where to go next and which place you need to backtrack to. All of it is up to you. You will try to find the next step, trying to figure out how to solve puzzles of Chozo temples, or even how to defeat an enemy exploiting its weakness. As your suit will only inform you about an extraordinary activity in an area, that means that there is an upgrade for your suit on that map, ready to be picked up. The developer team kept this hardcore retro soul while polishing the visuals, improving the atmosphere to deliver a really nostalgic, hardcore Metroid feeling. When I say polishing the visuals and improving the atmosphere, I really meant that. There are lots, and I mean lots of tiny yet worthy to mention visual details in Metroid Prime, and one of them is Samus's face reflecting on the visor when an explosion happens near her. I forgot about the existence of this feature, to be honest. This tiny yet effective touch reminds you about the character design that you never actually see. We can see Samus's eyes during the elevator cutscenes, but to see her face and even her for a second actually reminds and connects the players with the silent protagonist, in my opinion. Moreover, you can see raindrops on your visor, and as well as on your armor, the atmosphere of each and every biome, the visual effects of your beams, all of it just feels incredibly faithful to the original GameCube version even after 21 years later. Visor UI that we can also see by the titles like Star Wars Republic Commando is also still an interesting game direction choice that supports the first-person camera feeling, and also in addition to that, the enemies are really easy to see, easy to follow with their colors and design choice. They never blend with the background even in dark or bright areas, you just know immediately where the enemy is. In the terms of visuals and keeping that classic feeling, I need to say that Metroid Prime Remastered did an incredible job. It is quite hard to keep that old nostalgic retro feeling when such games are remastered or even remade. But need to say that Metroid Prime deserves to be in the list of games that are correctly remade and remastered. As I mentioned before, it takes a couple of hours before you feel that you're right on track and get used to Metroid Prime's flow. And in my opinion, the first 2 hours can be quite rough with the lack of abilities Samus has. In general, we have 4 different beam attacks and 4 different visors that Samus can use, and the most of times you will find yourself switching to different beam styles to survive in this maze. Like I said, the enemies are quite easy to see and to follow, and more into the story you will actually see that they will have specific colors like yellow, purple, white and red, matching with the colors of your beams. Yellow means your power beam, purple means wave, white is ice and red is for plasma beams, and you will change into different beams whenever you open the doors and even fight against space pirates, bosses that will keep the gameplay active and full of action. Besides that, alongside with normal visor and scanning mode for gathering information, you will also discover 2 additional visor modes that were not very charming for my liking, but I'm sure many would like it. They are thermal visor and X-ray vision, and you will use these when you find yourself in utmost darkness, or if you want to see any invisible enemies or even hidden platforms or rooms. Changing these beams and visor modes are quite quick and fast, so you won't have trouble during your gameplay. The reason that I don't like both thermal vision and X-ray is I found these visuals are quite blending with each other a lot, and rather than providing an interesting gameplay, it kinda started to frustrate me, to be honest. After a while, and especially during my late gameplay, I tend to avoid these dark areas and just went straight for the other path. Besides the thermal and X-ray, scanning mode will be your best friend. You will scan puzzle pieces or even weak walls to open up a new way or to discover secret hidden upgrades for your run, so it's always best to scan the area first whenever you enter a new one. I mean, it's totally up to you if you want to gather all upgrades for Samus or not, but I would definitely advise you to gather all energy tanks and maximizing Samus's health bar before entering the final dungeon. Even with all upgrades, and here I mean all of the missile extensions, energy tanks and whatsoever, the last boss was quite rough. And by rough I mean you can't just headbutt the boss and shoot all of your ammunition until it dies. Besides the last boss, the rest were quite acceptable with their own gimmicks to exploit, but I had the feeling that Metroid series had better, more memorable bosses in the franchise, so besides the last 2 bosses, I think the rest were a bit generic. That being said, Metroid Prime was a memorable journey. Even though I got lost, maybe wasted a couple of hours trying to get back on the right track, it was quite memorable and quite nostalgic. However, my honest concern is that it might be difficult for the newcomers of the series. Its multi-layered map felt more challenging and complex than the recent Metroid Dread, so it might be best to keep that in mind before trying out Metroid Prime Remastered. With Metroid Prime Remastered completed, as you might have guessed, I'm already waiting for its sequels, and I hope Nintendo releases the remaining before the big launch of Metroid Prime 4. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to share your thoughts, your nostalgia with me, since I might consider also making a video about Metroid Fusion in the future, when it's also released through Nintendo Switch's Game Boy Advance collection. So be sure to stay tuned.